name is Mia, and I'm going to tell you about my story and how I became a Christian. I am originally from Guatemala City, Guatemala, and was immediately put into the orphanage as soon as I could out of the hospital. This is kind of a rare story because my parents both had children that were 10 and 13 years old by the time they decided to adopt. So me, I was much younger when I came to the United States, and my siblings are very excited about that. Not only was I very much younger, I also didn't speak any English. So I was brought back into a family that was very American, very white, blonde hair, blue eyes all the way around. So I was very much so a person who stuck out in my community as a multicultural person. But also something that was really unique about my family was that we were very popular, we were a farm family, and we were very, very involved in our church. So at an early age, I was exposed to the Christian community. I knew who God was, I knew who Jesus was, and I could mostly tell you everything about it. But what I didn't have was the heart for the faith. And that was something that my parents and my siblings both also struggled with. We never really knew how to express our faith. And that is something that is a very popular thing in the conservative Lutheran Church. So as I continue with my story, one thing that is the catalyst for change in my life has always been and always will be when my parents got divorced. My parents got divorced when I was 9. And at the age of 9, I was in a state where everything was great. My parents were happy, my siblings were in college, I was very involved in sports, I was very involved in the community at a very young age. But when my parents got divorced, it was one of the very first divorces in our community. And along with that, the divorce rates back then were very, very low. So to be in a divorced family was not only weird, but it was also very unpopular. And everyone knew who we were. So not only did I grow embarrassment and shame with my parents, I also didn't know how to respond. I also didn't really know what divorce meant because my dad lived with us for a little bit, and so it was very confusing. And it was never anything that was discussed verbally between me and my parents. That being said, when my dad moved out, it really changed my life. I was super confused, I had all of these emotions. I was getting to the stage of where I was a teenager, and I had all these questions, but I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone about it. And so, out of a heart of anger and a heart of frustration, I chose to sink all of those emotions and just be angry. So my early teen years were stressed by a lot of rebellion and a lot of choices that were not good. And I really, really hated God. I thought that if there was this really great God, how could you do this to my family? How could you do this to the people that I love? But what I didn't understand is that there is this connection between bad things and someone who is not God, which is Satan. But all of that being said, I had no idea what my path was going to be. So instead, I decided to get involved in a lot of worldly things, as we Christians would call it. Being involved in drinking, being involved in partying, and just making a lot of choices that were really about myself. So I came to high school, and I was exposed to a lot of different people. We weren't a very diverse community, but we just did a lot of really different things, whether it was farmers or doctors or different religions. I was exposed to a lot of different things. But one thing that was always in the back of my mind is like, all these people go to church, but they all act really different. So if I'm going to believe this, why would I believe it from these people? And it wasn't until college that I came to a realization that being mean to people was a bad thing. And so all throughout high school, I had just been so angry and just really hurt people's feelings by what I had said and what I had done. Yet my mom was part of the school system, so I also had to act and behave well. So it wasn't until a couple years ago that I actually came to know who Jesus Christ was and accepted him into my heart. Because the one thing growing up that I didn't realize is that I had to actively say that my sins were bad and ask Christ to forgive them. And I also had to understand what Christ did for us, because he came to live a perfect life, blameless of sin, to then die on the cross, bearing our sin, past, present, and future. And because I had such a heartbreak, such at an early age in my life, I had such a hard time understanding that. But when I did, I realized that my life could look so differently. I could be happy. I could be involved in things and live for something so much greater than myself.